Welcome back to today's video. Today is Sunday, September 27th, 2020, and today we're going to be talking about the battleground state of Ohio. So Ohio has correctly predicted the presidential election winner, well, not predicted, voted with the presidential election winner in every election year since 1964. 1964. We're talking 60 years of it being correct if the last time it was wrong was 1960. And if we're looking at this election cycle, Biden is now the favorite to win the state of Ohio. I think that is very surprising, to say the least. I mean, Ohio in 2016 went to Donald Trump by 8%. He won it by, I believe, 8.13%. In 2012, Barack Obama carried the state of Ohio by 2.98%. So it was very close. In 2008, even in a year where Barack Obama was able to flip Indiana, make North and South Dakota competitive, come within a couple thousand votes of Missouri, almost flipping Montana, there were so many things different about the 2008 election that made it to seem as if a number of these states were super competitive. And realistically, I mean, Ohio probably would have been expected to be by a larger margin than Donald Trump. I mean, we saw Ohio in 2016 called very late. In 2008, Ohio was called before the West Coast closed. And when we're looking at the margin of victory, it wasn't bigger than Donald Trump's. 4.6% is nowhere near an 8-point victory. So Donald Trump had a very astonishing victory in this state 4 years ago, and it looks like it used to be on track to vote for Donald Trump this election cycle. It would have been the first year that we were talking about a broken streak. But Ohio now, according to the 538 average, has moved over in favor of Joe Biden. So you'll notice this on this thing that they like to call the winding path to victory. It's essentially just a snake where it goes from the most Democratic states to the most Republican states, and then in the middle it crosses 270 electoral votes. So as Biden moves from D.C. to Hawaii to Massachusetts to California, Vermont, Maryland, through the safe states, he starts to hit more competitive states. He's expected to win Virginia. He's expected to win Colorado, Minnesota, Michigan, New Hampshire, Nevada, Wisconsin. And now, this is the state that puts him over the top, Pennsylvania. So this is the tipping point, meaning Joe Biden could afford to lose every other state past Pennsylvania, and he would still win the election. But right now, according to the 538 forecast, Biden is expected to not only carry Pennsylvania, but Arizona, Nebraska's 2nd District, Florida, Maine's 2nd District, North Carolina, and Ohio. In fact, every state past Nevada went to Donald Trump in 2016. So, why is it so significant that we're seeing an addition to the Joe Biden numbers? Well, let's take a look at the electoral map. Every single state in blue is a state that we have considered to be, can Joe Biden win this state? These are states that Donald Trump won in 2016 that are now competitive this election cycle. Every single one of the blue states voted to the left of Ohio in 2016 except for Texas. They were roughly the same margin. Every single state, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, those were 3 states Obama didn't carry in 2012 despite him winning Ohio. Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, these are all battleground states that the Biden campaign is heavily targeting. All we generally talk about is, how can Biden win the Rust Belt? I mean, that's a fair point. How can he win the Rust Belt, right? How can he win in North Carolina? How can he win back Florida? How could he possibly win Georgia and Arizona for the first time since the 90s, since the Bill Clinton era? It's possible. It's not likely for Georgia, but it's very possible and likely in Arizona. But for Ohio and Iowa, these are probably the 2 states that receive the lowest amount of attention of any of the swing states, to be completely honest with you. The only reason why Democrats started to target these states heavily now is because there are competitive House races in Iowa, and both of these states are getting hit pretty hard. Donald Trump's entire campaign ran on the economy, on immigration, on locking up Hillary Clinton, and healthcare. I mean, healthcare didn't change. Obamacare is still going to be a thing, depending on the court ruling. On top of that, I mean, we're talking about Hillary Clinton still walking free. That's a campaign promise that was never met, never even considered to be met. And as for immigration, I mean, yes, there is technically some sort of wall being built, but it's nowhere near done, and it's probably not going to be done by a Donald Trump second term, even if it wanted to be. So the final promise for the Trump campaign that was kept for the majority of this term was the economy. And then COVID-19 hit, and the economy just plummeted. I mean, we're talking about the highest unemployment rates since the Great Depression. And we're looking at an economy where, Donald Trump is a businessman. This economy should be roaring, should be booming. And yes, unemployment rates were going down, and Donald Trump was doing well with the economy. Americans approved of the way that he was handling it. But now They don't. And now, taking a look at the economy itself, this entire economic shock has hit the Rust Belt the hardest. Now, it's not just the economy that's an issue this election. I'll tell you that much. This election has drawn away from being just a single issue, coronavirus issue, single, civil rights issue. We're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, a global pandemic, economic fallout. We're talking about the issues of women's rights, gun control, LGBT rights, the Supreme Court, all of these issues that otherwise wouldn't be too important in an election. Think about when Obama was reelected in 2012. We weren't talking too heavily about the Supreme Court. We weren't talking too much about civil rights, about police brutality. We were talking about the economy. We were talking about healthcare, but that was pretty much it. Single, if not double issue campaigns. Now, we're talking about a number of things this election cycle that have made this election super important, which is why Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they disapprove of President Trump's performance. They aren't likely to reelect him in these states. Arizona has moved over into the Democratic column. The Democrats have a very real shot at North Carolina and Florida. But now, all of a sudden, Ohio joins the mix. See, the reason why that's also very surprising is because Ohio, again, was a very solid margin for Trump in 2016. Trump had a larger percent than Obama in 2012 and 2008. 2012, better numbers for Trump in 2016 than Obama. Even though Obama carried it both times, they were not nearly as large of a margin as 2016. So when we look at this, and you look at this red map, you have to consider the fact that Donald Trump did very well in this state. I mean, this was a state that he didn't even win in the Republican primary, so he must have done very well. And it wasn't just because the RNC was held in Cleveland, Ohio. No, that wasn't it. I mean, he just did very well in this state, and it looks like before today, he was on track to win this state. Now, not all of the forecasts agree. The JHK forecast does have Joe Biden losing in the state of Ohio, and also The Economist does as well. But 538 tends to be one of the more accurate models. They gave Donald Trump a 1 in 3 chance at victory in 2016, whereas a number of other models did not. So I will say that I actually do trust these numbers a little bit. I don't think that Trump is going to lose Ohio, but I will say 538 probably knows a little bit more than me, but I'm still going to stick by what I believe in this state. I really see Donald Trump carrying this state narrowly, but there's a very real possibility that Joe Biden carries it as well. In terms of the data that we see, I think this is just due to the fact that we've seen 3 new polls that all show Biden ahead. 5% from Quinnipiac, 1% from Quinnipiac, 1% from Baldwin Wallace University, and then 5% from Fox News and A- pollster. So we have yet to see a super high quality poll come from out of Ohio recently. I don't think we've seen an A+ pollster since June. When it was Fox News and Biden was only up by 2%. So now he's up by 5% in this state, and it could be due to the fact that President Trump attacked Goodyear. I mean, that could be a very real issue when the economy is already hurting and the incumbent president attacks a very notable company that keeps a lot of jobs across this country, not even just in Ohio particularly. That's never really a good look. And if we're looking at Ohio's addition to Donald Trump's defeat, Donald Trump can't really afford to lose any of these states. Let's take a look at where he stands today in terms of where he leads in terms of polling numbers. Well, we can just characterize these states, and you can see exactly why the Biden campaign should be very happy with these numbers today. We should be very happy that Ohio has moved over into their column, because previously, nobody really thought that Ohio would need to be targeted. It's not crucial for a Biden victory, but this is the polling map. Biden is now up in Ohio. He's now up in the forecast, which gives him 353 electoral votes. 353. That's more than Obama's 2012 numbers, and that's more than Donald Trump's 2016 numbers. 353. Trump would get 185. You see, he really does need Ohio. He does not need to win all of the states. I mean, he can afford to lose some of them. He can afford to lose one state in the Rust Belt, but he would need to also carry Florida. He would need North Carolina, and he'd need a couple other electoral prizes. Now, in 2016, he could have afforded to lose maybe Michigan, maybe Pennsylvania, if he carried Nebraska's 2nd District and Maine's 2nd District. That would put him at 270. If he had just carried Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton could have won Michigan, Pennsylvania. The election would have had the same exact outcome. However, this time around, not only is Trump not doing well in Michigan or Pennsylvania, he's not doing well in Wisconsin or Arizona. So these states I would say are actually, and Nebraska 2nd District, these states I would actually say, and districts, are probably pretty solid for Joe Biden at this point. And the Republican Party was scared. They were frantic the fact that North Carolina had moved over into the Democratic column, the fact that Florida had now moved over into the Joe Biden column. I mean, we see Florida, Biden's expected to carry it by 1.4%. That's higher than Trump's 2016 margin. In North Carolina, Biden's expected to carry it by less than a percentage, so that's not the same as Trump's 2016 margin, but still a victory regardless. It's a winner-take-all system. Doesn't matter the margin. And then now Ohio was red. Ohio, sure, was going to be the closest state out of all of the red states, but now it has moved over into the Democratic column. Now, this is a very close race. Biden has a 52% chance of victory. But this is the first time he has had the lead in Ohio in terms of the chance of winning all the way back since, June, early July, late June. So in terms of the popular vote, again, the first time that he's taken the lead. Donald Trump at one point was expected to have a pretty strong victory over Joe Biden. At one point, he had a 62% chance at winning Ohio. Donald Trump's numbers are now down to 48%. So while Ohio may not be crucial to Joe Biden, it is absolutely crucial for Donald Trump. And now we've seen North Carolina and Florida on top of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona move over into the Democratic column. Ohio's next. What's next? Iowa? Georgia? Texas? I mean, at this rate, at this trajectory, Donald Trump is on track to lose. Taking a look at the national numbers, the numbers have not fluctuated too much. I think we're 38, 37 days away from the election. Biden's up 7%. And unless we see a very big October surprise, and unless these debates go awry for Joe Biden on Tuesday, well, it doesn't look like the race is going to change too much. And the American people, I promise you this much, don't care as much about debates as you might think. They really don't. Otherwise, Hillary Clinton would have won the presidency back in 2016. So looking at these national numbers, not good for Donald Trump whatsoever. Taking a look at these statewide numbers, not good for Donald Trump whatsoever. And this map was the map that a lot of Democrats and Republicans were thinking could be a very realistic map. But now they also have to open their eyes to the idea that Ohio might actually go blue, because Ohio probably won't be breaking its streak at this point, incorrectly voting for the presidential election winner. However, it's possible, but right now, based off 538's numbers, it doesn't seem likely that it's going to break ranks this time around. So, based off this new Ohio characterization, Biden is at 353 electoral votes. Donald Trump is at 185. These are not good numbers whatsoever. Can't really spin it to be one way or another, but I do expect it to return at some point to the Republican column. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions if you just want to see where I believe the race stands a couple days ago. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.